We've been doing this class already for many, many, many weeks, and it's getting very exciting. Last week, one of the students on the class suggested an idea, and everybody seemed to really love the idea. So I'm going to mention what that idea was. I'll keep it anonymous unless that student wants to come forward and say that it was them.
Totally.
Hi, Deanna.
Hi.
Okay, Deanna, thank you for the title and for the idea, because we got so many excellent reviews about just the title, so let's see how we do with the class.
Thank you for teaching it. I'm excited.
You know what? As I was doing my research on it, I started getting excited about it as well. It's just a really exciting topic. Okay, so the topic is, how do I express my emotions when I can't express emotions? How do I express my feelings when I can't express my feelings? So I left that topic with thinking, well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about that you don't have feelings and therefore you can't express them? Somebody needs to mute, Rabbi.
I muted them.
Okay. Oh, okay. So again, the topic is, how do I express my emotions when I can't express emotions? So I left there thinking, well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about how can I express my emotions when I can't express emotions? Does that mean you're a person without emotions? I'm talking to all of us over here. Am I a person without emotions? And that's why I can't express my emotions? Is that why I can't express my emotions? Because I don't have emotions? Or am I a person with a whole lot of emotions? I have a lot of emotions, but I can't express my emotions. I'm feeling it, but I can't seem to express it. I'm feeling angry, but I can't seem to say it. I'm feeling love, but I can't seem to say it. I'm feeling gratitude, but I can't seem to express it. I'm feeling afraid, but I can't seem to express it. So there's two different ideas over here. So let's go with the idea of a person that has emotions. I have emotions, but I just can't seem to express them. I watch other people and they're able to express their emotions. Something good happens and they get so excited and they say, wow, that's really great. Thank you so much for doing that for me. I really appreciate it. Whereas the same thing will happen to me and I'm okay. But where's the emotion? For instance, I know a couple where they were waiting to have a baby for a very, very long time. They find out they're pregnant, and I was in the room actually when it happened, and the husband, the guy who was going to be the father of the baby, he started crying. We're going to have a baby. He was crying. His emotions were they were right there so clearly. And she was blank, no emotion. So I thought, wow, maybe she's not happy about having the baby. That was it. She was just very blank. Afterwards, I found out that, yeah, she had incredible emotion about it, but she couldn't express that emotion. She couldn't come forward with crying and being so happy about finding out that she was going to be having a baby. And instead, what she did is said, oh, that's such nice news. Then later went to the bathroom by herself. And when she was in the bathroom by herself, she started crying from happiness. She was so happy, but she needed to be by herself in order to feel her emotion. So one person looking at her might think, wow, she doesn't have emotion. She's dissociated from her feelings. But yet they were there, but they weren't there at that moment. It took her time to be able to acknowledge that she had emotion about it. Whereas somebody else could be like right up there. like her husband. He started crying right away. Another example is somebody, this is also a true example, an actual happened example. A mother of, there was a certain girl, her father was very sick, had cancer. And the mother called the daughter on the phone and said, I have terrible news. Daddy just passed away. And again, over there, she said to her mother, "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry to hear that news." And there was her mother crying on the phone. Her siblings were all crying. And all she was able to summon up was, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that news." But then later, when she was by herself, she did find the time and the place and the emotion. She was able to connect with her emotion. So, what is all this about? What is all this about? So, it's a very important thing for us to understand our feelings, to understand what is going on, what's going on inside of us. And it's very interesting. We don't spend enough time educating our children on emotions. We're so busy educating our children to read, and we're busy educating our children to write, and everybody wants to have a high IQ. But when it comes to talking about feelings and understanding our feelings, people do not have an education about feelings. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm driving in my car and my car breaks down. I'm on the 17 and my car breaks down. Well, my car, if it's going to break down and it's 1:00 in the morning and I'm driving by myself and my car breaks down, I am going to freak out. Why? Because I know nothing about cars. I'm not educated in cars. I know nothing about cars. Now think of this other guy, that I know, Doug. Doug is a car mechanic, right? Doug knows cars. Doug is a real live guy. Now, if Doug's car is going to break down at 1:00 in the morning while he's on the highway, is he going to freak out? No, because he knows cars. He's going to know exactly what to do. He knows cars. He's going to open up the hood. He's going to do a couple of little this and a little that, and he's going to figure it out, and he's going to be totally fine. He's not going to freak out. But me, because I know nothing about cars, I'm going to freak out. Well, guess what? Our emotions are the same way. If we learn to understand our emotions and we learn about our emotions and we practice the skill of using our emotions, we're not going to be terrified of our emotions. We're not going to be afraid of fear. We're not going to be afraid of hatred. We're not going to be afraid to fall in love. We're not going to be afraid of these feelings because we'll be used to them. We'll have an education on how to experience feelings. Well, what do we do if we really love somebody? Well, we're not going to be afraid to love somebody because we're going to be conditioned. We're going to have experience in learning how to enjoy our emotions. We're going to embrace our emotions. Even a feeling of fear. Let's say what's going on right now, right, within the world. So all of us are so afraid. But what are we all doing? We're afraid to even admit that we're afraid because fear is just so frightening to us. The feeling, that intense feeling of fear is so terrifying. It's so paralyzing that it's just easier for us to not feel the emotion of fear. So we'll get busy doing other things. Instead of thinking about how afraid we are about what's going on, we'll start getting busy doing other things. We'll get busy reading a book. We'll get busy watching a movie that has nothing to do with what's going on. We'll do anything to avoid the emotion of feeling the fear. We'll do anything to avoid the emotion of feeling hatred. We're so afraid of hating somebody. Why are we afraid of hating somebody? It's just a feeling. It's a feeling. If we hate somebody, why not embrace the hate? Why not accept it and say, you know what, I hate this person because they hurt me very, very much. And if we embrace that emotion, we will get comfortable with our emotions. So that's the topic that we want to talk about tonight is most of us are not connected to our feelings. And what we're going to talk about is what is it about feelings? How do we connect with feelings? So I'm going to give you an example that you are all going to really connect with. We have a little baby. He's 2 years old. We're going to call him Baby Joey. Okay, adorable, cute baby Joey. He's 2 years old and baby Joey is in the house. And as baby Joey is walking through the house, he doesn't realize that there's a closet door open and he walks right into a closet door and he bangs his head. So terrible. He has his heart, it hurts so much. So baby Joey, he's 2 years old. He starts screaming from pain. Ouch. My head hurts. My head hurts. He's crying. My head hurts. And what happens? His mother comes running over and she says, oh, my poor baby Joey. Are you okay? Shayfula, are you okay, baby? My cute little baby, are you okay? And baby Joey's crying and he says, oh, it hurts. It hurts, mommy. It hurts so much. So mommy calls daddy and she says, daddy, come here. Look, our cute little baby Joey, he's in a lot of pain. He hurt his head. He's crying. He's in a lot of pain. Look at how he's expressing his pain. He's crying. We have to do something. Daddy, let's do something. And daddy says, okay, mommy, I'm going to run and I'm going to go get some ice. Baby Joey, don't worry. I'm going to run and get some ice. And daddy runs to the freezer and he gets ice and he puts it on baby Joey's head. And baby Joey's crying. And little by little, baby Joey is starting to feel a little bit better. Why? Why is baby Joey feeling better? Because baby Joey has been heard. Baby Joey was crying. He banged his head. It hurt so much. Mommy came running. Mommy said, oh, baby Joey, I love you so much. You're going to be okay. I'm going to take care of you. And then daddy comes and daddy puts the ice on baby Joey's head. Now, what happened in that story? Baby Joey was in pain and baby Joey was hurting and baby Joey's feelings were validated, right? So what happened? Baby Joey expressed his feelings as a 2-year-old. Baby Joey was heard as a 2-year-old, right? And what happened to baby Joey's pain? You know what happened? Not only did his pain go away from his expressing himself, expression, pain went away, but not only that, he ended up having an incredible feeling of pleasure. He felt loved. He felt taken care of. He felt happy. So let's do that little thread that just happened. What happened? Baby hurts his head very badly, and the baby cries and expresses himself. And the mommy validates the pain. And then the daddy validates the pain. And what did the baby learn? The baby learned, oh, it's good to express my pain because when I cry and I express my feelings, what happens? I'm validated. People come and they take care of me and they love me and I feel taken care of and I don't have pain anymore. I now have pleasure. So what did he learn? He learned that from expressing his feelings, he had an experience of pleasure. He expressed his feelings and he experienced pleasure. Good. Now, let's go to a whole other story. Let's go back to baby Joey number 2. Baby Joey number 2. And you know what? Let's change it. Let's make him baby Jimmy so that we won't have any confusion here. Okay? Joey had pain. Joey expressed his pain. Mommy came running. Daddy came running. Joey was heard. Joey feels really good at expressing his pain because now he feels so happy. It was pleasure. Jimmy. So there's baby Jimmy, 2 years old. Baby Jimmy in the house. He doesn't see that the closet door is open. And baby Jimmy walks right into the closet door. And ouch, he hurt his head. terrible, terrible pain. And what happens? Well, baby Jimmy's house is not quite as wonderful as baby Joe. In baby Jimmy's house, he hurt his head. He starts crying. Oh, I really hurt myself. My head hurts. And what happens? His mommy, Jimmy's mommy, says, what are you screaming about? You just hit your head. What's the big deal? Stop crying. You're such a baby. You hit your head. Be a man. And the father is in the other room, and the father hears the baby crying. And he comes out and he says, what's going on over here, Mom? What's going on? She said, Jimmy just banged his head. He's crying like a baby. What kind of man is he going to grow up to be? And father says, oh, yeah, you're crying? I'm going to give you what to cry about. And he gives Jimmy a good slap on the face. He says, now you could cry, Jimmy. Okay, you were crying over banging your head in the door? That's ridiculous. Now you have something to cry about. Well, what do you think is going to happen to Jimmy in that situation? Jimmy expressed his feelings. He was crying. And was there a good outcome from him expressing his feelings? Oh my gosh, no. He's been rejected. He had no right to feel bad. They said to him, what are you, feeling bad? You're crying? You're expressing your emotion? We're not going to have any of that. And he learns what? He learns, well, if he's going to express his emotion, it's going to be big trouble. So he will not express his emotion again. He will learn that expressing emotion will only bring him a lot of pain. It will not give him pleasure. It will give him pain. So then he gets to the first grade and the teacher yells at him and says, what's wrong with you? You didn't bring your homework. Do you think that baby Jimmy is going to go home and tell his mother, the teacher yelled at me today because I didn't have my homework? You think he's going to express that emotion? Oh, no way. He's not going to express his emotion because he knows that if he expresses his emotion, he's going to have pain. Expressing his emotion will be a painful experience. It will not be a pleasurable experience. So not only does he learn not to express his pain, he's learning not to express his emotion, because if he's going to express his emotion, it's not going to be a pleasurable experience. I am in pain. I am feeling, well, my expression of pain is going to be painful. So I'm going to disassociate myself from that feeling. I'm going to stop feeling, because if I stop feeling, I don't have to worry about being in pain. Feeling will put me into pain. So what happens to all of us when this happens and we are afraid to express our pain and we're afraid to even feel? We're afraid to feel. You know what happens? We become like robots. We become like robots that aren't going to express our feelings, because if we express our feelings, it's not going to be pleasurable unless we were lucky enough to grow up in Joey's house. Well, Joey's house is great, but would I say that Joey's house is the majority? I can't say that. I can't say that. So if you grew up in a Jimmy house, does that mean you're in a minority and very few people grow up in a Jimmy house? No. Unfortunately, a lot of people grow up in a Jimmy house because our parents have a lot of responsibilities. They have to make enough money to support the family. They have to have a job. They have to have a house. They have to pay rent. And they have a lot of stuff going on. They have relationships at work. So how many Joeys are really out there? How many daddies are really out there that will say, oh, Joey, you banged your head. Let me run and get you some ice. Not too many. So unfortunately, for most of us, for most people, unfortunately, what happens? We experience what we experienced by Jimmy, which is that we're afraid to feel our emotions because if we feel our emotions, it may not be a good thing. It may not be validated. We may end up getting into trouble because we're feeling our emotions. So that is very interesting. So I want everybody to just take a moment to think about these stories and to think about Joey's growing up and Jibby's growing up. And the parent does not validate things. The parent does emotion to us when we're a child that isn't allowed to express our emotions. And then think about it for a moment. Allow yourself to go there. Might be painful, but allow yourself to go there. And now for a moment, let's go back to Deanna's question. The question is, what do I do if I have emotions? I feel emotions, but I can't express my emotions. Right? So really, the emotions are there. They're there. They're very, very well hidden, but they are there. You know why they're there? Because we all have an inner child. We all have that inner child inside of us. We are all that 2-year-old. We're all that 2-year-old that bangs our head into a door. And we want to know that somebody is there for us and that we can say, ouch, I hit my head into the door. It really hurts. And we want to know that there's somebody on the other side saying, I hear your pain. I feel bad for you. I hear your pain. I know you're in pain. Let me bring you some ice. Let me stroke you. Let me tell you, it's okay. I hear your pain. To go to that place where, if it's possible, to go to that place where you can feel your emotion and you're not afraid to feel your emotion and that you can express your emotion, because we're all here for you. We're here. We've been together for months. We've been together so much, and we're here for you. And if you're in pain, we will tell you it's okay to be in pain. We hear pain. What can we do for you? Can we sit with you a little bit? Can the rabbi sit and learn with you a little bit? Do you want to talk to one of the rabbis? Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to one of your peers over here? We're here for you. And although you may have been living this way, avoiding your pain for 20 years, 25 years, maybe even 30 years, is it too late to undo that? No, it's not. It is not too late to undo it. So how do we do it? So before I go on how do we do it, I wanted to open up a little bit in terms of just a little bit of questions, and then we'll talk about what is the solution. I just wanted to know, how does all of this sound to everybody?
I can say, Dr. Faye, sorry that I'm jumping. What I was told, that parents, if they have very explosive parents, and then children scared to express their emotions, because then like they grow and continue their lives, even when they become adults, they harbor their feelings inside. And that's a reflection of how they were raised.
Yeah, so excellent, Rabbi. I think what you're talking about is what we have spoken about in previous weeks, which is repetition compulsion. That if a parent is a parent that loses it, the child will repeat that cycle and probably end up very similar to the parent.
No, vice versa. Based on what you said right now, the child learned that expressing feelings is dangerous, because when in the past expressed the children emotions and it created anger,
Yes.
then he learned not to express. And even though the parents are expressing freely, he's the very opposite, or she's the very opposite, and then they don't feel it, and then they numb it, and then they suffer. So if that's resonates with what you were saying?
Yeah, exactly, Rabbi. Yes. What you're saying is that a child that grows up in a house where the parents are very emotional and lose it very, very quickly, that child is experiencing exactly what we talked about. Instead of expressing feelings and experiencing pleasure from expressing a feeling, they are ready to express their feeling, but they get pain, they get screamed at for expressing their feeling. And therefore, the line goes from, I expressed my feeling, but I had pain. And what am I going to do then? I'm going to stop expressing my feeling. I don't want to have pain. What's all of us, we all know what's the goal in life? Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Nobody wants to be in life and have pain. You know, if we have pain, that's a sad life. We all want to have a life of pleasure. Well, if expressing my feeling is going to give me pain, I will stop expressing my feeling. And that's where we have the exact discussion of what Deanna asked about, which is, I want to express my emotion, but there's pain in it. So I'm not taking a chance. Too dangerous. I'm afraid. I'm not going to take that because I will end up in pain. Whereas really, the expression of our feeling, that should be so pleasurable. It should be amazing having a one-on-one conversation. I know over the holidays, you know, because of the COVID, we couldn't do any time together, right? It was all about social distancing and staying away from people. I was very fortunate that I managed to be able to be with a person. And because I was with them, it was so valuable that time to be able to express my emotions, so pleasurable. But that soothed my inner child. My inner child was being heard. My inner child was being pleased. I was not in pain. It was pleasurable. And if we could get to that place where when we express our emotions, we have pleasure from expressing our emotions, that is the goal. That is a great goal. Imagine being able to say to somebody, I really love you, and being able to have a conversation about it instead of being afraid that if you say, I really love you, that person might say, oh, you're going too fast, too quick, right? That's what we're all afraid of. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to say to somebody, I love you, and not to be afraid that they may say back, I love you too. The ultimate.
Dr. Faye, hi. Can I
Hi.
add something on, please?
Yes.
Since this topic hits very close to home for me. So for me, it's never been about getting yelled at, even as a child growing up. For me, it was always about growing up in a family that didn't really express emotions. So especially my dad, he was the kind of man who harbored everything in. And so I never got to see in real life, like with my parents, how they expressed emotions, whether good or bad. And I think that's why, as I grew up, it became so hard for me to express my emotions, you know, and it's the feeling of being vulnerable and basically what you just said, you know, like, oh, what if you want to, you know, express your emotions to someone and you're afraid that they might reject them or, you know, they might not come out the right way. So what I'm trying to get at basically is that I never kind of had that around me as an example. So I grew up without that, if that makes any sense.
Of course it does. Makes a lot of sense.
That's a lot of families from Soviet Union.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I must even say
Especially
probably
fathers.
almost every family. We lived in tyranny. In Soviet Union, expressing emotions was dangerous and
Mhm.
deadly. If you say what you think, you may be executed, Dr. Faye. We lived in tyranny for generations, not just us, our grandparents, our
Mhm.
parents, and
Mhm.
ourselves. So this is in our blood.
Mhm.
This is something we all,
Right.
well, and the truth is, even Ivan the Terrible, I think the entire Russian culture, not about communism, we lived in tyranny for generations.
So, Rabbi, I love what you're bringing up. I love it because we're actually talking about a cultural global thing. We're not even talking about individuals over here that were brought up individually, like a Jimmy or a Joey. We're talking about a culture of people that do not want to show emotion, and that when emotion is shown, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a pleasurable experience to express emotion. It's
You're
going to
put
be,
down for it.
say again,
You're put down for it. Like
you're put down for it.
Not only put down, Dr. Faye, and when I went to college, one of the first Russian jokes, we call it anecdote. I don't know, Russian joke. They say, oh, let me tell you a joke. You know the essence of the Soviet Union? When everybody is together, everybody says yes, da, right? Da. Da means to communism.
Yeah.
But everybody separately, нет. In other words, having your own feelings at home, very different than what you're expressing publicly, is slavery. We were slaves for generations, and we taught ourselves to silence our external expression. So we don't, I mean, this is what I think we learned from parents and grandparents. And those who expressed were executed.
I'm just thinking, Rabbi, because this is so deep, you're talking about generations of this going on. Do you mind maybe giving us a little bit of a history over here of how this got started? They weren't like that from the year zero.
No,
When,
of course
can
they
you give
were.
us a little history of how this happened?
Maybe I'm going to say a hint. The hint is really Chinggis Khan. I'm expressing it correctly. Chinggis Khan created the greatest Mongol empire, and Russia was part of it. And people think Russia is Russia. Really, Russia is continuation of Chinggis Khan. If you look at the Soviet Union, even more than Russia, this is the Chinggis Khan Mongolian Empire. The Mongolian Empire was God, and anybody who disagreed with him was executed. So Ivan the Terrible was torturing his citizens and creating terror. He terrorized society. Peter the Great, all Russian kings, Stalin. Putin says we need Iron Man, we need fist. So the idea of a fist is part of, unfortunately, of the culture. I heard that they even books of psychology, psychological books of some kind of a cultural psychosis of Russian culture, where people, generations were terrorized by torture and executions and mass murders. This is how the entire Russian culture emerged. So the Russian terror, millions or tens of millions of people who were a little bit wealthy, a little bit different, were executed. Communist revolution was bloody. World War II, I don't know, 30 or more million people died. Many of them, okay, so in other words, it's anybody who has different opinion, it was not, oh, he's going to be just put down. Putting down, of course, hurts feelings, but it was a physical danger for generations. And my grandfather used to tell me, my own grandfather, he said, we live in a terror, in fear, not because everybody knows that if he's going to do so, that the gun is put to his head, but everybody knows that if you're going to say something that people are not going to like, the gun will be put to his head.
Wow.
The fear of the gun, the fear of the execution was always there. Physical, in other words, physical torture or destruction was part of the society.
Rabbi Katzin, can I add one more thing?
Oh, please, Albert, I'm honored that I have Albert who understands history and he writes about history. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Albert, please.
since Diana is Gorsky and I'm Gorsky, and she mentioned her father, there's this thing where there's always a concern not to be perceived as a weak man. So if you express your feelings, there's a concern that you are showing a certain type of a weakness, which you, as a man in our culture, is not as something that men would do. So in other words, they do have feelings, they do experience them, but they reserve them inside because they're afraid to be perceived as a weak person.
I perfectly agree. It's a different side of a different coin. It's not political, but just simply scared to show your weakness, 100%.
Yeah. So there's that thin line where how do you express your feelings and at the same time not to sound that you're complaining or that you're, in a sense, showing weakness.
Wow.
This is a very tricky point.
Wow. Rabbi, I will say, and Albert, based on what you're saying, and Deanna, and everybody that's speaking, I will say that this class could be more than just one class, Rabbi. This is a class that could actually run a whole course of its own. The idea of it being a cultural thing, that this little Jimmy walking into a closet and getting hit for expressing his pain of crying because he walked into a closet and not being allowed to express his emotion, because of what Albert is saying, because, hey, you're a boy. What are you? You're supposed to be a man. That's what that's what we learn as Russians. You have to be a man. And Jimmy doing that is A, anti-cultural, and B, Rabbi, what you're saying is so major that it's a generation's worth of not being allowed to express your emotion. And how do you change that? How do you change that? And it seems to me from Deanna's question, you want to change it. You want to learn how to express your emotion. You don't want to, you want to feel love. You want to feel, you want to have feelings, and you want to be able to express your feelings. That's what we're all here for, right? So the question is, how do you do that? How do you get there? And I will tell you, there is a way to get there. Just because you've been like that for generations and generations, and you're like that already, and you're 30 years old, and you're terrified of expressing your emotion, the easiest way, the best way to start it is, believe it or not, is by we talked about this last week, and it came up again this week in the research, even though it's a different topic. Last week's topic was how to deal with difficult people, right? And this week's topic is a completely different topic. And yet, as I'm researching, I find the same answer. And the answer is to have compassion for yourself first. If you have compassion for yourself first, and you validate yourself first, and you say, it's okay for me to be feeling this way, even if I'm a man. It's okay for me to cry that my girlfriend just broke up with me. It's okay for me to be happy. I'm allowed to express my feelings of happiness. It's okay for me to express my feelings. Oh, I'm so excited that you bought me this little gift, or I'm so angry that you bought me a gift that I didn't want, or whatever it is that you want to express, right? If you have compassion for yourself and you allow yourself, you self-validate, then the next step after self-validating, if you can validate yourself, then you can start having compassion for others. And that's where it starts to happen. That's where the train starts to move. I have compassion for myself. I'm going to have compassion for others. And little by little, you actually start expressing your feelings. You're not afraid to express your feelings. You take a chance, because you banged your head in the door. You say, oh, I hurt my head. Wow, it really hurts. And you're okay with it. You're okay with it. And then you take it from there, and you have compassion for somebody else when they say, oh, they banged their head. And you say, oh, I feel for you. I feel so bad that your boyfriend broke up with you. I feel so bad that you're going through a hard time and you're feeling very lonely. I have compassion for you. You know what? It's okay that it didn't happen to you when you were 2 years old or 5 years old, Deanna, or 12 or 15 or 17. It's fine because you have a whole life ahead of you. You can start it now, today, right this second. You can start it right now. It's not too late. And expressing yourself is not dangerous. And disassociating from your feelings is not a good thing to do. It's good to associate with your feelings. It's good to embrace your feelings, whatever they are. It's whatever they are. It's good to embrace your feelings. It's not good to disassociate from your feelings. So I thought maybe for a little exercise, it's a very, very little exercise, but I thought it would be like your first step into touching base with your emotion. Is everybody okay with that on our little group over here? It's a small group, but let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Here's your sentence. Your sentence is something that you want to express, something or someone. I like someone that you want to express your feelings about.
Dr. Faye, repeat one more time, please.
Yep. We're going to try an exercise now because this is going to be you at 2 years, your inner child. This is going to be your baby step into expressing your emotion. Whatever it is, it could be something about what's going on in the class right now. It could be about someone in the class right now. You don't even have to step outside and go into the big world. You can stay right here. But it's a sentence that expresses your feeling.
Dr. Faye, but you said that in order for you to have a feeling for another person, let's say compassion, you need to learn to have compassion for yourself. In a way, maybe in order to forgive others, you need to learn how to forgive yourself. Sometimes we're not forgiving ourselves. That's why we also are not unable to forgive others.
Absolutely.
Yes. So is it harder sometimes to have a feeling for yourself? Yes. And what does it mean, compassion for yourself? How can you be compassionate for yourself? Because sometimes we're too demanding and we act upon ourselves like our parents, our teachers. We always demand, no? We always demand of ourselves. And we never know how to be compassionate. How do you learn compassion for yourself?
Well, we're going to do it right now.
How?
You're going to say something that either you love about yourself.
Somebody else, you said. You said through somebody else, I'm learning about me? Because you said, what's the exercise?
You can do either one is good. The main point is that you're going to express a feeling.
Because even if you speak about somebody else, really, you also learn about your own feeling. Okay,
And
so I got it.
Also the exercise here is actually about bringing the words out of your mouth. It's actually about expressing a feeling. It's about expressing a feeling of love, a feeling of like. It's
Overcoming fear, it means overcoming fear. Because expressing a feeling is always scary.
Yes.
So it means you learn how to be vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. And Rabbi, what's the fear we're talking about right now? The fear we're talking about is expressing a feeling.
Expressing yourself. And it's scary.
Exactly.
And if you don't like yourself, how can you express yourself? So you need to be confident to express yourself.
For somebody like what you just explained, that comes from a culture that does not express emotion. For somebody who comes from a culture that does not express emotion, this is a very hard exercise because you have to actually say the sentence. You have to actually say the sentence. Now, for me, I don't come from that culture. I come from a culture that was very expressive. So for me, it's very easy to say, like right now, I could say very easily, I love being in this group. I love being here. I feel so good about it. I'm so happy. It's a feeling of pleasure to express that I love being in this group.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, for when you first mentioned the exercise, nothing was coming to my head because, see, that's the thing. I'm so not used to this. So I had to like think about it for a few seconds. But I want to say I love that I'm a part of Rage because Rage has brought me to like things like this where I'm able to have these conversations so freely. And this is like a judgment-free zone. And everyone is here is on the same page as me. We're all trying to learn. And I'm so grateful. And I love this Monday night class. There we go.
Now, how was it?
Bravo, bravo, and bravo. It's so brave. And it's so opposite of Russian culture. I have to say, yes, it's impossible. Yeah, for someone who was raised there, impossible. So bravo, Diana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi, because I know that you're the one who made it all happen. So thank you, and Dr. Faye as well.
It's all together, Dr. Faye. Thank you. Monday class is all about Dr. Faye. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's all about you. It's all about you because you're open to growing, and that's the big deal. You're open to growing. Okay, anybody want to try? It's very hard to do. It's very hard.
Does it have to be through words? How about through music?
Do you sing? Do you sing or play?
The most of the time, that's how I express my emotions through music. And I actually recorded on YouTube.
How are you going to express your emotions right now?
How do you
Right
express
now-
it? Do you
right
listen
now-
or do you sing?
Right now, it's basically, I can say what I've been playing in the last few weeks. As part of my practice, it's this Atikva. And that's what's on my mind, that hope. That's my emotions lately, that the hopefulness that things will get better here and in Israel.
Okay, so Albert, we're going to take you to the next level, and you're going to put it together in a sentence. You're actually going to say a sentence of an emotion, of expressing your emotion, and you're not going to do it with your song. You're actually going to do it.
Wow, that's hard. I hope that the negativity that has been going on in this country for the past few months will subside. I guess that's what it is.
Excellent. That is an emotion. That was very, very good. And that was huge of you. I really congratulate you on that. That was absolutely huge of you.
Thank you.
It's really good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I could go. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have been very emotional over everything and they just don't know where to direct it at. That's why some people are just angry. Some people are still hiding. So I guess I have many fears and the constant fear is that life is very unpredictable. Like you don't know what's going to happen next week. You don't know what's going to happen next month. You don't know if Corona is going to come full blown round 2 and everything is going to go back to like everybody hiding in their room. Nobody's talking to anybody. Don't make eye contact with anyone. So I think that's one of my biggest fears. And I hope the same as what Albert said, for everything to go back to normal, but even better, because we've learned a lot about ourselves through this experience. We did things that we thought we would never do, like keep Shabbat at home alone and do Havdalah by themselves, which I've never done before until now. So little things like that.
So I'm going to escalate you a drop because I love you so much. And I think you're able to do that. When you talk about that, a lot of people are afraid and a lot of people have fear because of the unknown. Can you do the sentence in the following way? Can you do the sentence of, I am afraid of what's going on right now?
I am afraid of what's going on right now because I don't know what my week holds. It's very unpredictable.
But that was beautiful. That was expressing an emotion, and we're here for you with that emotion. You're afraid, but we are all in this together, and you can feel safe with us around. We won't let anything happen to you by yourself. We're all here with you together.
Yeah. And for that, I'm thankful. That's why you guys are my extended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your inner child is growing a lot. It's becoming a
Especially in
teenager.
the last 5 years.
Does anybody else want to try? Because we're running out of time, but I thought maybe we would just do one more person. Anybody want to take a chance of
I can
expressing
try.
an emotion? Go ahead, we're ready.
I have a lot of fears of speaking up about my past. I just came to that realization today. Like expressing emotions or just being vulnerable about the truth of the pain and what happened.
Yep. So again, I'm going to help you out with this one. Instead of I have a lot of fears, I am afraid. Can you own the emotion?
I am afraid. Yes. So it makes it more present and real.
So try to do that sentence.
I missed half of it because I think it was like fuzzy or something. I am afraid of speaking up about my past. Is that what?
Yeah, excellent. Now, how amazing does that sentence feel that you actually took a chance and said that sentence?
It feels good. It's like I'm acknowledging that part of me that is afraid.
Yeah, and we're here to hold you. We're holding you up. So even like the fact that you're saying it is fantastic. It's a huge, gigantic step. So that's your baby step into feeling your emotions. It's great. Congratulations. I'm so happy to have been here for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Faye, I'm so grateful to you for starting and continuing this class because it provides such an amazing opportunity for us to grow. Thank you so much. I'm jumping without, said the last one was, but I'm risking your anger about saying I'm so grateful to you. Thank you. I have a feeling of gratefulness.
I like Rabbi, thank you so much.
Thank
Also,
you.
I love the way you said it at the beginning when you said, I am grateful, and you were afraid of risking my anger. When in fact, it's not going to be a painful experience. Isn't that amazing, Rabbi? It's just amazing.
You said the last one, and I am jumping, afterwards. Naturally, I wouldn't do it. I would just keep quiet, but I worked on myself.
Yeah, it's great. It's so good. And I will return it so that it can continue for you with pleasure rather than pain, and say, I am so happy that you expressed yourself, Rabbi. Because
I'm so happy I did not keep silence and rather express myself. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Because your vote of confidence means so much, Rabbi. Really, really. Thank you.
It's unbelievable. What we learned today is for, I think for us, the Russian Jews in general, so cultural. Both, I think what Albert and I think Diana said before, it is, yes, it's not just culture of terrorism, but it's also family structure culture. We do not express our, if you will ever come with me to Subway in Moscow. Dr. Faye, did you come with me on Subway? Did we go on Subway or no?
Of course I did.
On
Of course I
Subway.
did. We met, remember, we met that woman, and
Yes, yes. Remember, and she smiled to us, right? On this,
Yes.
and she took us. Do you know
Yes.
when I remember I was with my mother, Aleh Shalom, and we were going down. You went down on the subway, correct? And
Yes.
you see faces coming to you, correct?
Yes.
I remember my mother and my friends used to say, oh, somebody smiling. It's a foreigner. When you see Russian faces, I hope that my Russian friends will forgive me for that. You see people stand like they are soldiers and they're serious. Russian Soviet citizen. If you see somebody saying freely and smiling, he's not Soviet citizen. You recognize foreigner by face because of the smile. We do not smile, Dr. Faye. We're scared to express smile. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen? What do you say? Did I say something? You agree? So you didn't go on Russian subway, but that was like people looking in the subway. Say, oh, look, the guy is smiling. He's a foreigner. Can you imagine this? That's where we're coming from.
So interesting. It's such a culture difference, to come from a culture like that and enter the rage world where it's all about smiling and it's all about embracing each other and it's all about love. So it's such a beautiful thing. Also, you have to give a lot of credit also, Rabbi, to all of these Russian students who come from a culture like that.
Yes.
Forget about changing their lifestyle in terms of religion and Rabbi Rosenfeld and Rabbi Abragamov and all the rabbis, Rabbi Goldstein. Forget about that change. What about this cultural change? About walking into the building and being able to smile. That's a huge cultural change. And that they're allowing themselves to take a cultural change, that they're picking something that they want to take into their culture. They want to take the warmth in. They want to take the smiles in. And we see that at the Friday night tables because when they're by the Friday night tables, they just don't want to leave. They want to be there and feel the warmth and smiling,
Dr. Faye, just one thing I wanted to say to you. When we speak to the families of people who change their lifestyles and they do keep tradition and commandments and go to shul, synagogues, do you know the biggest thing that we miss all? We continue to be the same Soviet citizens. They don't smile, just keep Shabbat and do other things. And we know that in order to excite our children, we need to change. And we need to create a Shabbat experience when people sit around the table. So coming to your Shabbat table is a healing experience for most of us.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is that we're making families, we're creating families that are going to be repeating them. They're going to be repeating these Shabbos tables on their own. And that's wonderful. Okay. Oh, did somebody else want to say something? We're good. Okay,
Thank you
Rabbi.
so much. Thank you all.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe. Stay safe. And
So
don't
anybody
forget-
wants to help Dr. Faye, can you tell us if anybody who wants to help, what do they do? They should come where tomorrow?
Well, they should text me.
And you'll tell where to come. Anybody who
And
wants
I
to
will tell
help
them where to
is
come.
6
Exactly.
o'clock tomorrow to come to Dr. Faye, correct?
And yes, and if anybody, the most important part is, are you ready to volunteer? And then send me your name. That's the most important part.
Thank you so much. All the
right.
best.
Thank you so much for this class, Dr. Faye.
That was amazing. Thank you so much all.
Thank you.
Rabbi.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Dr.
Good
Faye.
night.
Thank you.
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov to everyone.